name is Claudia Peralta, and welcome to this episode of Where To. This week we're taking on a trip to the scenic lands of the East Coast, to the emirate of Fujairah. The emirate is an unforgettable experience, a modern, fast-developing city, together with the mystique of the rugged Hajar Mountains, deep river valleys, and long, sandy beaches, all of which makes it a land full of natural beauty. This prosperous emirate is justly renowned throughout the UAE for its history, heritage, and of course, its friendly people. So let's now start with an aerial view of this beautiful emirate. Fujairah has been described as the gate of the Gulf and the pride of the Emirates. Immigrants from the Arabian Peninsula first settled here, and its history goes back to the pre-Christian period. Each of the 7 members of the United Arab Emirates holds its own beauty and local character. Fujairah is a land of real Arabic charm, with picturesque small farms and ancient forts and castles. Its natural geography is varied, with long, sandy stretches of beaches washed by the Indian Ocean, the towering and jagged Hajar Mountains, woven valleys that run down to the sea, and the coastal plain green with farms that produce much of the UAE's food. The combination of sea and land, coast and mountains, together with weather that is temperate for much of the year, gives Fujairah the further bonus of an ideal location for tourism. Fortunately, economic progress has not undermined tradition in Fujairah, and the heritage of this emirate has been carefully conserved. The framework of a fascinating heritage combined with the warmth of its people makes Fujairah an unforgettable holiday destination, truly an Arabian jewel. The trip up to the Al-Bithna Fort is a 4-wheel drive only journey, so make sure you're properly motorized and well equipped with a full supply of refreshment. The Great Fort of Al-Bithna is located in the Wadi Ham and dates back hundreds of years. It retained its function as a defensive point right up until recent times. The construction of this fort above the Wadi bed is proof that the region's inhabitants have recognized its strategic importance for hundreds of years. The historical value of the fort is not the only thing that makes it such an interesting place to visit. Attired in a white headcloth and with a long rifle in hand, the guardian of the palace is an intriguing local figure. After 50 years spent as custodian of this fort, his own life and history have become intertwined with that of the fort of Al-Bithna. Refusing to relocate to a more modern dwelling, his simple lifestyle reminds the visitors of times past, and life before the coming of modernization and amenities such as running water and electricity. His friendly face lined with the cares of time, and his body weathered by sun and heat, the custodian families of this place and the people who have visited it go back decades. smiling glow from the soul and last inhabitant of this historical monument is a memory that many visitors and tourists have captured through the eye of their camera. Over the years, the Al-Bithna fort has transformed from fortress to historical site, but the wadi which it once guarded still contains evidence of ancient battles in the forms of hundreds of time-worn grave sites. A rough ride on tracks of stone leads us into the Wadi Hill. This road first passes through a small village and then leads us up and into the Hajar Mountains to the old palace which we're visiting today. A palace that once served as the summer home to members of Fujairah's ruling family. Is one of Fujairah's most impressive, if lesser known sites, and the entire valley is now being considered for designation as a National Heritage Site. Looking down upon a fertile wadi bed, the castle now stands empty, but still fairly well preserved. The square three-story mud brick structure once served as a fortified tower. It was used as an observation point, and this provided protection to the family home. Although the outer walls of the palace continue to stand, the inner space within them contains only a few remnants of the original structure. Columns that once supported the roof of the palace and a single room decorated with alcoves are the only remains to be seen of what was once an impressive palace. Due to the recent discovery of commercially viable deposits of oil in the Wadi Hill, this entire area seems likely to become of increasing importance for both its historical site and future mining potential. Once you're in Fujairah, stop at the Sandy Beach Motel. This is a perfect location for you to enjoy either your weekends or holiday. Fujairah has long been a favored destination for a day out or a relaxing holiday, both by residents of the rest of the UAE and overseas visitors. The Sandy Beach Hotel is one of the favorite locations with large, spacious grounds and comfortable chalet-style suites. The attraction of Sandy Beach Hotel is in the wide variety of possibilities it offers to the visitor. For families and leisure folks, the pool and quiet private beach are a haven in which to relax and enjoy the occasional tip. The hotel's location away from the bustle of city life makes for a tranquil atmosphere with dramatic sights of unspoiled beaches and low mountain ranges behind it. For those who feel more energetic and want to experience a little adventure, an assortment of marine sports is on offer. The crystal clear and turquoise waters of the Indian Ocean are rich in corals and colorful marine life, and we're told that nothing can beat the ultimate thrill and pleasure of scuba diving and snorkeling, which is one of the most popular activities here. Daily expeditions on the boats provided by Sandy Beach Hotel venture offshore in search of the more interesting locations at which we can observe the saltwater marvels that the ocean has to offer. Throughout the year, professional Hotel coaching is available by a 5-star dive center, which enables both beginners and the more advanced diver to enjoy the marvels that can be seen in these waters. The trainers are highly skilled and will guide you through all the steps necessary to make your underwater experience an unforgettable one. The diving center is well equipped with all the latest in diving gear available for sale. As there is no age requirement for this fascinating sport, I recommend it to anyone who's interested in trying it out. Displays the traditional way of life, as well as a wide variety of ancient artifacts. Many of these were recently found in over 40 sites, ranging from Iron Age tombs to ancient Islamic burial grounds. Despite its relatively small size, the Emirate of Fujairah has a wealth of archeological sites and plenty of evidence that prove that man has lived successfully along the coast and in the Hajar Mountains for thousands of years. Evidence collected from graves has shown that a network of trade routes must have existed that ran along the edge of the mountains and through the main wadis to the Gulf of Oman. Potteries, weapons, and jewelry provide useful introduction to the flourishing past of the area that is now Fujairah. Photographs of the archaeological digs, as well as models of the instruments used in the daily lives of people who lived at the sea, reconstruct for the visitor a picture of ancient settlement. A room entirely dedicated to the more recent past recreates the atmosphere of the inside of a traditional dwelling, complete with colorful cushions, carpets, and even a wooden baby cradle. Discoveries from tombs that date back as far as the Iron Age yielded a number of skeletons and fragments of pottery dating back to at least 1000 BC. Continuing work by archaeologists has recently begun to yield evidence of Fujairah's history during Islamic times as well. And the Fujairah Museum exhibits a collection of traditional tools, decoration, and craftsmanship, as well as dress and jewelry, that display the more recent customs and ancestral folklore of the region. To Fujairah, the city's museum is definitely a must, as it will provide you with all the available information that links one time period with another, from as far back as 2000 BC. Mosque is also called the Fort Mosque, and although small in size, it's nevertheless considered a mystery because the origins of its architecture are still unknown. The settlement of Bidya is home to Fujairah and the UAE, oldest place of worship. Visitors from all over the Emirates come to visit this mosque, which is unique in its design with 4 small domes held up by a massive central pillar. The Ottoman Mosque is the oldest mosque still in use, and tourists and visitors alike come to see this mosque, which with the 2 small watchtowers on the hill behind, is one of the most photogenic and photographed sites in the country. From atop the hill behind the mosque, one can catch a spectacular view of luxuriant palm groves and the shimmering blue waters of the Indian Ocean. exuberant variety of plant and animal life, which is especially lush after the rains. On the outskirts of the town of Fujairah lies a palm grove of a very particular kind. The gates to this park are open to the public, and it has become a health spa, complete with chalet accommodation. The waters from the spring are laden with therapeutic minerals, and the grounds have been developed in order to allow the people of Fujairah, as well as foreign visitors, to benefit from its curative properties. Two large pools provide privacy and comfort for those who wish to enjoy the warm sulfur waters which are long famed amongst the local people. Beautifully landscaped tropical gardens, a large temperature-controlled swimming pool, and tennis courts for the sport-minded guests are some of the first facilities to make a favorable impression on the visitor to the Fujairah Hilton. The Hiltonia Children's Park is guaranteed to be a hit with the younger generation of visitors, while the private beach offers relaxation for all the sun lovers wishing to lounge under one of the canopies in the beach terrace. Hilton hotels worldwide have a reputation for comfort and excellent cuisine, and the Fujairah Hilton holds true to this with its own Fiji restaurant, whose reputation for good food is hard-earned and jealously guarded. The great stone and mud brick edifice is the 300-year-old Fujairah Castle, built by Sheikh Mohammed bin Nafar. It shows the ravages of time, rain, and war, but it still stands as a witness to the history of Fujairah. Isolated on a rocky hill above the coastal plain, the Fujairah Castle stands on a site that has been inhabited by people for thousands of years. Imposing and commanding despite the ravages of time, the high walls of the palace seem to stand in eternal protection over the people of the area. If walls could speak, these mud brick walls would tell a tale of brave resistance and a troubled past. They still bear the damage of a 90-minute bombing suffered through the spring of 1925 as a result of the test of wills between Sheikh Hamad and the British political resident of the town. This bombardment was the last time British gunboats opened fire in the Gulf, and since then, the blocks on the seaward side of the castle were rebuilt in concrete to repair some of this damage. Driving through the wadis is an adventure in itself, as you can observe the course of yearly water currents that have shaped their way through the rocks that were first formed 200 million years ago. We're at the Wadi Ruwaya, perhaps the only place where water can be found flowing throughout the year. Over the centuries, the water has carved into the rocks, creating fantastic shapes, with little pools and the Ruwaya waterfalls, which is a rare sight in the middle of Arabia. The Wadi Ruwaya is one of the more well-known of the wadis in the area of Fujairah. The surrounding hills and large boulders create a natural pool which receive the waters of the Wadi Ruwaya's waterfall. Although at this time of the year we were able to wade through the clear knee-high water, the winter months bring a more rapid and increased flow due to the frequent rainfalls. The pressure of the water rushing through the rocks is considerable nonetheless, and on a hot summer day, This pool becomes an attractive spot for people wishing to take a picnic while enjoying the coolness of the water and the beauty of the surrounding hills. These waters originate from an underground source in the Hajar Mountains about 10 kilometers uphill and are therefore clean and unpolluted. The Great Hajar Mountains run from the Strait of Hormuz through the Emirates and into Oman and are among the most barren parts of the UAE. In such a place where people battled the elements in order to survive, this natural and continuous flow of spring water is special and unique in the Emirates. Fujairah Heritage Village, which shows the traditional heritage of the UAE. Visitors coming here can see exhibits designed to portray life as it was, such as traditional houses, tools, and other such items. A fascinating location for locals and tourists alike, the Heritage Village is a place well worth visiting. Its purpose is to create an authentic traditional village, displaying the most interesting aspects of Arab culture, lest these traditions be forgotten during rapid social change. Popular cultural expressions, such as the traditional dances, which were, and continue to be, a special feature of festivals, weddings, and even casual gatherings, are practiced in dramatic performances, accompanied by the sound of drums and chanting. The creation of bright, hand-woven cloths for the customary dress can be observed while sitting on a spread of carpet. There's even a demonstration of the old method of irrigating fields and date palm groves by using a pulley to bring the water up from the well. Before the event of electrical stoves, small fires topped with a flat metal surface on which to cook provided the camp and its numerous inhabitants with their daily food. We got to sample some of the thin, bread-like wafers which are made out of flour and water and are deliciously crispy and light to eat. Social event with much exchange of loud talk and banter among those present. The actual proceedings are simple. Stones are used to measure the weight, and a weight device is used as a balance. When the appropriate balance was achieved, the deal could be concluded. UAE in general, the national government and local authorities are encouraging their preservation by establishing places such as this, which celebrate the unique and rich heritage of the people. And since preserving the national culture is not just the domain of the government, many local groups practice with great spontaneity the dances and customs which represent an essential element of their tribal identity. Islamic groups, such as National Folk Arts Group, perform dances at national festivities and also represent the Emirates internationally. Heritage groups also conduct research into the history, customs, and even the significance of indigenous dances and poetry. Anyone visiting the Heritage Village will know that the distinct cultural heritage of the Emirates will be forever preserved by its proud custodians.